Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Capricorn for October 2017. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Check out my Shine Your Brilliance Vocational University, where, if you're interested in my courses, I can teach you how to have a vocation that you love. And definitely look out for my new school that I'm going to have open for registration towards the middle of September. So what's going on in the month of October? We've got a lot of stuff to talk about with the general transits, which I'll get to. I break these videos up into two parts. One video, two parts. The first part has to do with things specific for your sign. So Capricorn things lighting up for your sign. Then I have a very extensive general transit report, which goes into the aspects that I think everyone is going to notice. And the ways that you can best utilize those. So I'm calling the theme of the month for Capricorn radical expansion, because the personal planets are crowding in your ninth house. For you early degree placements from the start of the month, the Sun, Mercury, Mars, and Venus are already there. For you middle degree placements, you've got the Sun and Mercury there. Jupiter's also there for a little longer. And then soon, a few weeks in, you'll have Venus and Mars come into the party. You late degree placements, it's going to take a few weeks for what I'm about to describe to get cooking for you. But it is going to happen, and you will notice it. It's just there's a little bit of a lag time for the later degree placements because the planets are moving in a circle. So if you just imagine a wheel, an astrology wheel, looks like a circle, and then it's broken up into 12 parts, looks like a pizza pie, right? Love making food references. So then each of the slices of pie is a field of experience we have as humans. We all have these fields of experience. And so when the planets move around those certain pie pieces, they accentuate the energies of that pie piece and bring flavors and stories true to the sign that they're in when they move through that pie piece. Okay, so we'll talk about the energies of Libra and Scorpio, which are highlighted for everyone this month, and what that looks like when we talk about the general transits. But we're going to talk about the house placements specific for your sign, Capricorn. So this is true for Capricorn Sun, Capricorn Rising, and some people even watch for their moon sign. So if you're a moon cap, then this could be a lens through which you look out, and this can be a piece of your picture. So the ninth house has to do with freedom. It is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is my buddy because I'm a Sag. So it rules freedom, it rules expansion, it rules luck, benevolence, transcending situations, looking at things from a bigger picture, looking at things from a broader perspective, like on top of a mountain. You know, something to understand about this month is this energy of Jupiter, and Sagittarius, which is looking at things like, say for instance, there was a small village and they lost their water source. The water well hole, their watering hole ran dry, and they're trying to figure out what the problem is. Well, if you were up in the mountain, you would see that some beavers made a dam 3 miles up, break the dam, then you have your water back, right? But from being closer into the situation, you can't see that. So this is the energy that you're working with this month. And, and especially for your later degree placements, it's going to carry over more into November 2. So this has to do with teaching, learning, traveling long distance, international travel, international business. It has to do with different countries, different cultures, different languages. It has to do with religion, but it doesn't have to be one specific religion. It can be spirituality, something again that looks over a situation. It's a bigger picture way of looking at things. This is a house of luck, and so often you will find that if you shift how you're looking at something, then magic can come in that you weren't expecting. Capricorn energy is really great at doing practical, tangible steps to move towards certain ends. And Sag energy is a little bit less linear. So the more you can do things a little bit less linear at this time, you might notice that your projects that you're trying to move ahead can be enhanced. And this is a really great month for moving ahead. We'll talk about this more in the general transits, but we are in this window of no personal planets being retrograde. And this is one of the 2 last windows before the wall of retrogrades starting in March in 2018. So if you've been wanting to move some things forward, there are a lot of green lights this month, you know, and I'll talk about the dates that have some sketchy energies and the dates that have really good energies, but there's just so much that you can do with this month. And the bigger you go and the bigger you think, the further you can go. So let's see, if you've been wanting to learn something, this is an amazing month to commit to a learning program of any kind. If you have been learning and you want to teach, this is an amazing month to commit to something, doing teaching. Or if you're already teaching, you can expand or diversify. That's another theme that is really good to notice for this month, which is diversification. Jupiter, I always describe him as liking to have his fingers in a lot of pudding pies. He doesn't play it small and he doesn't play it focused or singular. So as many seeds as you can plant, oh, maybe this is going on, this over here, you don't have to pick one. You disseminate a whole bunch of different seeds, and then they have a chance to grow just because you put the energy out there. And this is a really good time for seed planting because, like I said, that with not having a personal planet retrograde, there's more of a chance for clearer communication and for clarity about what it is that you want to do. This can also bring a lot of optimism. The 9th house, Sag, rules optimism. That's why if you know any Sag people, they can probably be pretty annoying, which I'm included in that because I'm a Sag and I have a ton of Sag. And I'm very optimistic. I'll tell you when I see things that are sketchy that you need to be wary of or how you can mitigate them. But I'm an eternal optimist because that's the energy of Sagittarius. So when you have planets moving through the Sag house, this brings more optimism to you. Capricorn energy in general is that of a skeptical cynic. Now, not to say that every single person who has their moon or sun or rising sign in Capricorn could be described that way. You know, we're so much more than any one placement of ours. You know, we're very complex. Each individual is as complex as the universe itself. This is the first thing that I tell people when I've read charts is, we could talk about one person's chart forever and there would still be things to talk about, you know, because we are so complex. So I would never pigeonhole you and say you are only this way. I would not do it to you. But there are certain tendencies that are true, you know, and when these planets come across and move into a house that's different than part of your nature, then you'll feel this different energy rolling through. So those are the things most on my mind, specifically for Capricorn. Now I want to talk about the luckiest day of the year. I want to talk about a bunch of transits, some sketchy, a lot really good, and talk about Jupiter moving into Scorpio. This is very exciting. This happens, Jupiter changes signs once a year. So we're completing our Jupiter and Libra transit. So I'm going to get into more of that now. So I'm calling the theme of the month for all signs, Purge and Merge. And this is from the short term and actually now introduction to this long term energy in Scorpio that is being brought in as a theme. We've got personal planets which move more quickly and talk about the energy over a number of weeks, moving into the sign of Scorpio. But we also have Jupiter changing signs into the sign of Scorpio, and it will be there for a year. So, do you ever notice that when you clear out a shelf, before you know it, the shelf is full again? You know, this is just an example of how energy moves. Space wants to be filled. So the best way to usher change or new things in is to make space for those things. And so this energy this month is very much about releasing so that you can make room for more things to come in. And there will be a strong theme, a Scorpio-based theme about what those things are that will be coming in. So we're talking about purging items and beliefs and dynamics, anything clutter, anything that is no longer serving you. If you have a way of looking at something that is limiting you, then we're talking about letting go of that idea or that way of seeing things. You know, this is a very all-encompassing release and letting go. So some themes that are going to be present this month as the general transit story for everyone, but again, will be present as this kind of constant long-term theme for around a year. Also has to do with anything Scorpio based, basically. So psychology, astrology is in there from the psychological perspective of astrology. Any esoteric or occult studies, so basically exploring the riches, the lesser seen realms. That's the energy of Scorpio, the things that are lesser seen, intangible things. The topic of other people's money is a big one. So anything involving loans, debt, credit, capital funding, inheritances, marital money, parents' money, inheritances, I said that one already. Anything having to do basically where resources that come to you from somewhere else. So investments, anything kind of hard to, stocks are really, they're intangible. And that's what places them in this realm, and loans and money that's somewhere present on paper, but it's hard to track where the money actually is. That's the 8th house dominion. So sweepstakes, lottos, lotto winnings, anything like that, financial support or assistance of any kind, empowering others or being empowered yourself in any way, the process of self-empowerment, the journey of self-empowerment, research, investigation, intimacy, sex, power, birth, death, rebirth, like the phoenix rising from the ashes is basically this energy of Scorpio. So these are the themes that are really dominating the energy now, and they will be for a while to come. So now I want to talk about a couple of other noteworthy things before I get into some of the individual transits. Remember that we are still in this last window of the year for launching things, pushing things forward. Towards the end of September, we started this open window free from personal planets being retrograde, and that continues until November 15th. So all of October is in this open window if you're trying to make a big decision, if you're trying to push something forward, if you want to move, sign a lease, sign a contract, there are lots of open energies where communication is flowing more freely because of not, being in detriment from the retrograde. So take as much action as you feel drawn to, don't make yourself too crazy over it. This open window time is a time to push a little bit. It's time to push, but you always have to honor your own intuition with that, because sometimes it happens so often. I can't tell you how often I see this happen with people that I work with and myself. If I think I should be doing something, or you think you should be doing something, and then you're not, and then time passes and something happens and you're like, oh gosh, I'm really glad I didn't do that thing, It's because that was intuition holding you back. You might have thought it was fear, you might have thought you were being lazy, but the more you tune into your intuition, you can tell the difference between something energetically telling you to wait and some sort of issue within yourself that you have to overcome to be able to move forward. It's a very tricky dance to try to figure out when you're supposed to push a little harder to get through something and when you are supposed to be honoring the things that seem to be saying hold off. But in any case, you'll have a lot of opportunity to push through limitations and do certain things anyway, work a little bit harder during this open window. And then you can have lots of notable outcomes in the months and even beyond that to come. This is the last window before I guess it's the second to last window before this big wall of retrogrades that we have next year. Next year, most of the year is spent in a personal planet retrograde, and usually more than one personal planet being retrograde at once. We've got the Mercury retrograde cycles, we have a Venus retrograde cycle, and we have a Mars retrograde cycle. So a little bit into January through the beginning of March is our only really open window all of 2018 without a personal planet being retrograde. So for launches, pushing things forward, there's a little space there somewhere around the beginning of May. I think I have to go back and check that, but I know that there's a little, very small window somewhere else if you have to push a couple of things in later on into the year. But otherwise, the whole thing is dominated by retrogrades. So if you're going to launch a website, launch a YouTube channel, launch a book, start a business, officially get, documents that LLC or whatever you're going to do, something official. You want to try, if you're intuitively led this way, to get these kind of things done in this window or in the window that's early in 2018. So hopefully you can find your balance between what you have to push through and what Spirit might be telling you to hold off on. So we do also have one of the luckiest days of the year this month, which is around October 26th. The actual transit of the Sun joining with Jupiter happens on the 26th. Sometimes you feel that energy the day before, sometimes you feel that energy the day after, but it's just very lucky and very wonderful and very well lit up. I remember last time this happened, last year, I was expecting it on the day, you know, that the transit was happening, but the day before was when it hit for me, and it was just like, whoa, this is so Jupiter Sun, you know. So just follow the flow, because we give you these dates as guidelines, but the energies, the manifestations from transits can happen before or after the actual transit, so you have to be feeling into them. And a lot of times there are transits going on at the same time, so like a really good transit could be happening right at the same time as a challenging one. So you have to really tune in to make sure things are flowing for you personally and not just base your decisions on a date per se. You know, it's a very individual process because our charts are very complex, and general horoscopes can't speak to all of the other things that are going on in your chart. Only you can feel that. Okay, so let's talk about some of these other aspects. We start out the month with a really beautiful aspect, Mars trining Pluto. So this is the second and last time that this aspect will occur. It occurred before on April 6th. So it can bring courage and confidence and determination. So if you need some oomph to push something through, then the energy around this time could be helpful with that. And you might feel that even towards the end of September, a few days before the October 1st or a few days after. On October 3rd, we have the follow-up here, which is Venus making a trine to Pluto. And this is all happening in Earth energy, because Mars in Virgo and then Venus in Virgo are making the trine to Pluto and Capricorn. So this is very grounded, this is very stable, this is very practical. And there are lots of things that you can do with that energy. So Venus rules love, beauty, money. Mars rules, your energy, how you use it. And by the way, I am giving you some details about some of the transits that I see most notable for this month. But if you'd like a written version of the general transits, then definitely sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. I send out a monthly newsletter like clockwork. If you have signed up for my email and you're not getting the emails, you need to contact me, because there's something up. They could be going to spam or promotions or events folders or something like that, because I send it out every month, a month early. So I'll be sending out this October one to my list in the beginning of September, so that you have a visual version of the general transits, because sometimes it's easier to process that way and to keep track and to make your plans. Okay, so on October 5th, we have a full moon at almost 13 degrees of Aries. Full moons bring fullness and completion, and sometimes drama, and sometimes things coming to fruition in a magical way. You know, it's a welling up. I always think of it as a dog shaking off water, because water represents emotion, you know, and that's what we do at the full moon, is just like a shaking off of all this emotional buildup in our fields. You might notice if you spend a moon cycle connecting with the earth, like putting your bare feet and hands in the earth, even laying on the earth and doing emotional clearing exercises, that the energy buildup at the full moon might be a little bit more manageable for you. If you happen to be overwhelmed with the emotions of the full moon, then you can experiment with trying to discharge energy from your field for the cycle before and see what your personal rhythm is. But the fullness, completion, fruition, possibly drama, comes in the sector of individuality and self-image. So this can bring a lot of attention to you. You know, this can mean a lot of people are looking at you. It could also mean that you weren't looking at something within yourself that you have to. Sometimes there is a symptom or a health ailment that you've been ignoring, and sometimes the full moon in Aries will bring it up, bring it to fruition. You know. Speaking of which, I wanted to mention earlier, I want to make sure to mention now, is the state of our adrenals very much is related to how we experience astrological transits, because our adrenals rule a lot of different things. It's very complex, the amount of physiological things that are connected to the adrenal glands. But when we're running on overtime, stressed all the time, our adrenals get burnt out. And people joke about this and say, oh, my adrenals are shot, and they go on with their lives. Well, if you hear any message from this video, I hope it's take your adrenal state more seriously than any astrological forecast, because how you tolerate stress, how you make decisions, how you hold anger, how you respond, how you tune into your heart messages and your intuition is all going to be connected to the state of your adrenals in many cases. So when the transits come and exert pressure on you, if you're already super stressed and your body is just overwhelmed because you're not babying your adrenals, then you're going to have more of a challenging experience processing challenging things that come. It's harder to handle things gracefully when your adrenals are stressed. So you've got to check in with your doctor and yourself and your own research to see what the best way is to balance and be nice to your adrenals, but definitely feel into it because because things like this can supersede some astrological things, or at least definitely shift how you experience the astrology and put you in a more clear position to use the positive energies while softening and mitigating some of the challenging transits. Okay, so October 8th, we've got Venus in Virgo square Saturn in Sagittarius. So pressure is put on finances and relationships and likely self-esteem. Whenever Saturn is in a challenging angle to a planet, the pressure and stress is they're the key words that come along with this. And since Venus rules love, beauty, self-esteem, money, some pressure will come there. Then we have on October 9th, Mercury and the Sun together, okay, and in Libra, and those are both squaring Pluto. So again, when you have a square, this is a challenging angle. This can be stressful. So negativity and suspicions could run high now. There could be an antagonistic force coming towards you, or it could be an internal source, which usually it is under the guise of an external force, but very often, especially when Pluto is involved, there's inner riches to come out. So sometimes we get lazy, and unless we have a bit of pressure, we don't find places within ourselves that are waiting to be revealed. So this could be a little pressure, this could be a little stress, but you also could find some hidden riches from that. On October 10th, this Jupiter entering Scorpio that I spent some time talking about before. So this is going to last for around a year. Jupiter transits are around a year. On October 11th, we've got Mars squaring Saturn in Sag. So you notice the trend here. Obviously, Mars and Venus are close together. And so Mars will make an aspect, and then Venus will make an aspect. So now here we have Mars making this, this square to Saturn after Venus already made the square. So this is, whenever Saturn's involved, there's usually like some sort of older or allegedly wiser or more established energy, or someone who happens to have the say, even if they're not older or wiser, a Saturnian force that's working against your movement. Mars represents movement. Trying to be a perfectionist at this point might be harder now. So just kind of feel into that, because flexibility might be able to push you through this transit a little bit better. October 12th, we have Mercury and Saturn in a nice angle. So this is good for concentrating and figuring out solutions. So if you have anything come up from the previous transit with Mars and Saturn, then this could be assistive to you. October 15th, we have Mercury in Libra opposing Uranus in Aries. Whenever the planet of communication is opposing this random, erratic, or seemingly random and erratic force of Uranus, it definitely increases nervous tension. So using all of your tools to support your adrenals, to keep yourself balanced now, because there's going to be a tendency to rush into things, into agreements. And it's not the best thing to rush in. If you're feeling very nervous, you have to make a decision, then you might be better off not making the decision if you can help it, because making it from this stressed place could have annoying repercussions. So on the 16th, we've got the Sun in Libra making a nice angle to Saturn. So this can bring a burst of support or respect from someone in charge or someone who you admire. October 18th, we have Mercury in Scorpio making a conjunction to Jupiter in Scorpio. So we talked about, and I'll mention again, this Sun in Scorpio conjunct Jupiter in Scorpio aspect on the 26th. Mercury coming and joining with Jupiter also carries good luck and also carries positive energy and good news. It's one of the typical transits of good news. So that's happening. And then on October 19th, we have the new moon at 26 degrees of Libra. Whenever there's a new moon, there are new open possibilities. And you make your 10 new moon wishes now on the subjects of Libra. So anything about partnerships or relationships of any kind, diplomatic communications, anything about trying to resolve, find a win-win solution, work together on a project, anything, and of course, not coincidentally that I'm mentioning this, Libra rules the adrenals. So this is all of the Libra energy this month is really assistive, and I would think it's a good idea to make one of your wishes. Please help me to really support my adrenals and keep them in a balanced state, or better yet, say thank you for my perfectly functioning adrenals. And then you feel that as if it's true. You feel yourself being emotionally balanced and mentally clear. I have a video that talks about using astrological power periods, how you can most use those energies. So if you just search for Making Wishes Annie, anywhere on the internet, I'm pretty sure that comes up. If not, you can find it on my channel. So on October 24th, we've got another sweet aspect with Mercury trining Neptune. So this is a sweet, dreamy aspect. It's really good for romantic or artistic or personal, quiet, spiritual ventures. The 26th, we have that Sun in Scorpio conjunct Jupiter, which can bring lots of luck. On the 27th, we've got Venus in Libra squaring Pluto in Capricorn. So some challenges could come here, even though we've got a lucky energy the day before. So this is what I mean about these, dueling energies. We never know which energies are going to be more present when. So you just have to tune into your personal situation. And so the Venus square Pluto can bring this surfacing of deep issues regarding power, regarding control, especially as it relates to love and money and self-esteem. So it's not usually the best time to act on strong feelings because you'll have a lot of, tension in your solar plexus. That's our control center, our third chakra. So this type of aspect usually brings up something that gets us tight in there. So always, of course, making a decision from that space isn't usually the best thing to do, but doing inner work or seeking other psychological support for the issue is very good at this time. And on the same day, we have another nice aspect, which is, and I don't want to say that the challenging aspects aren't nice. I just mean, we feel them. They make us feel bad sometimes, but sometimes the feeling bad can be productive, and so they can turn out to be nice, but that wouldn't be the first word we'd use to describe them. Whereas this Mercury in Scorpio making a nice angle to Pluto in Capricorn, this is something that can bring answers to deep questions, powerful breakthroughs, and intentionally using this energy for meditation and integration will go a very long way. So you can also have clear understanding of long-standing dynamics that involve relationships with people and money. So these are the things that are most on my mind for the general transits for the month of October. Definitely look at my website for a new offering I'm going to have available very soon, a new school that I'm starting. Also check out my Shine Your Brilliance Vocational University, where I have my coach training, my online business course training. I have my astrology apprenticeship program. So you can see if there are still slots in those, and also check out my Train Your Brain subliminal bundles, where you can be shifting your neurological patterning as you listen to nice, relaxing outside sounds. And if you'd like to see more about what's up for you for the month for you, for your sign, check out my husband, B.R. Newman's Horoscopes, and you can look him up under B.R. Newman, Neumann, or see them at imhelios.com. You can check out my website and all of my offerings at anniehelpsyou.com. Definitely sign up for my free email newsletter and get your written version of the general transits out. Also, other things come along with that sometimes. And I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month.